Halo rolled onto the floor, licking the peanut brittle before propping his head up with one arm. Anyway, how did you both get here? Asked Halo. By reading a book, said Jax. Were you really into the story? Asked Halo, making a joke. Oh, ha ha, said Jax, unimpressed. It was freaky, said Toll. All this silver mist came around me, and I was suddenly being drawn into one of the pictures. Same, said Jax. What about you? Asked Toll. Oh, I drop by all the time, said Halo. Pavlova and cream, peanut brittle and chocolate. What's not to like? So you're not here to help us? Asked Jax with a frown. Not at all, said Halo. And without saying anything more, he was gone, leaving a little cloud of silver smoke behind him. Oh no, said Jax. Our only hope's gone. He'll be back, said Toll. He loves the place. Probably dines here daily. Jax sighed. I hope so, she said. I'm a bit sick of sweets. After an uncomfortable night's sleep, Toll and Jax awoke to a brand new day, complete with a bright pink sky. That was awful, said Jax. My bed was made of banana split, and I kept sliding off to one side and ending up in a pool of topping. Mine was fudge, said Toll, but every time I rolled over it seemed to melt and land me onto the ground. In the end, I just stayed on the marshmallow and coconut rug on the floor because at least I couldn't fall any lower. Jax looked sympathetic. I had a weird dream, said Toll. This awful little creature kept calling out, Remember the city! Remember the city! They'll die if you don't remember the city. And then I'd ask, What city? And the creature would say, It's no use. You've forgotten. They're going to die and it's all your fault. It made me feel useless. Plus, I feel sick as well. Too much sugar. I know, said Jax with a groan. Oh, I wish we could just have some real food. Toast with tomatoes and cheese would be excellent. Coming right up, said a breezy voice. What? Asked Jax, racing into the kitchen with Toll. We thought you'd gone, said Toll. Of course I hadn't gone, said Halo. I might be able to live on sugar and artificial colouring, but you most certainly cannot. Halo grinned at both of them. Here, he said, tomatoes, toast, and cheese. I've even peeled the tomatoes and removed their seeds. Plus, I added some basil for good measure. Toll and Jack sat down and ate their toast on some chocolate stools at a kitchen bench that was made from the longest boiled sweet they'd ever seen. Best breakfast, said Toll. Betterest best. I aim to please, said Halo, sitting next to Toll. 3 little swallows came into the kitchen to nibble on the crumbs that had fallen onto the bench. While they were pecking away, totally unafraid, Toll asked Halo, Where were you last night? I zipped in to see how your parents were getting on, said the angel, lounging on his chair and nibbling on a chocolate flower that had been decorating the side of it. Poor Mum and Dad, how are they? They were in a terrible flap, calling the authorities and contacting eye switches and imaginations all over the universe. That's normal, said Jax. Poor things. I just had to repair that. It goes like this. Poor Mum and Dad, said Toll. How are they? They were in a terrible flap, calling the authorities and contacting eye switches and imaginations all over the universe. That's a normal response, said Jax. Poor things. Were my parents worried too? I didn't visit them, said Halo casually. Jax frowned. Okay, she said. Well, your parents are sensible, said Halo. But Bill and Nell are silly things, if you ask me. Many parents are. Every time a child starts their training, odd things happen. They always do. Parents are warned about it, but somehow even the most enthusiastic imaginations become complete idiots when it comes to their offspring. Toll looked worried. I should have left them a message, he said. How could you? Asked Halo. Anyway, you've only been gone for 2 days. 2 days? Asked Jax, frowning. We've only been here for 1 day. It's not that simple, said Halo. Sometimes a virtual world can move more quickly than the one you live in, or sometimes much more slowly. and often things speed up and slow down without warning. Toll nodded. You told our parents where we are, though? Asked Toll. Of course not, said Halo, producing more cheese on toast from an ancient velvet hat he'd been wearing. Why not? Asked Toll. Not my place, said Halo. Toll frowned. But they're so worried. They should know better, said Halo. So let's get on to more important things. It's important for our parents to know, said Jax. Oh, come on, said Halo. Have you solved your dilemma yet? Toll looked worried. Not yet, he said, but I've been thinking. Yes, good. And, said Halo in a slow, droning voice as if Toll was quite a dull thinker. Jax shook her head. You're being rude, she said, and you know you should have told our parents. Halo groaned. Oh, life's boring if there isn't a bit of rudeness, said Halo. And if your parents should realize all by themselves. Toll sighed. Right, he said, I've been thinking. And what have you been thinking? Asked Halo. Toll frowned. Well, I wondered if just thinking about the whole idea of reading books might help us come up with an escape plan. I wondered if when you finish reading a book and shut its cover, is the story really over? Halo shrugged. Is it? Toll asked. Not really, said Halo, because you're still sort of reading it by thinking about the words and the pictures, even though you're not in front of the book, and that can go on for ages. Jax nodded. So in a way you're still inside the book, she added, even after you've shut it up and put it back on the shelf. Toll frowned. But thinking about all of that didn't seem to offer any way out of this book. And then I thought if you start to read another book, well, you could still be thinking about the first book at the same time. So then you'd be back in the first book as well as being inside the second book. But that didn't seem to help me come up with any solutions either. So I wondered what would happen if you went to sleep. Would you escape from the books then? Jax nodded. But you might dream about the first book or about both books. So there's not really any way of escaping from books once you start reading them, because once the book has come into your mind, you can't get it out of there. And in a way, you're locked inside the book, said Toll. So there's no way out of Candyland? Asked Jax, beginning to panic. It's not called Candyland, said Halo, stuffing his face with toast. Don't speak with your mouth full, scolded Jax. If it's not Candyland, then what's it called? Asked Toll, wondering if there was a clue in the name of the land. This place is called Los Candeles, said Halo, spitting dry bits of toast all over Toll as he spoke. Toll didn't care. He was glad to know the name.